about that time for Black Power Radio. This is AB Radio. It's 8 p.m. It's your boy, the most electrifying individual of all time. I'm talking about all civilization.
Wow.
Yes.
That's quite a claim.
The most electrifying of all human beings.
Wow.
Of all time.
Wow.
It's your boy, E Biddle.
Wow.
AB Radio. Chilling with
Money Mo's here.
Chilling with Money Mo. You just heard our intro from DJ Manny Money. Shout out to DJ Manny Money.
All day.
Wherever he's at.
You better be studying.
You better be, man. K-House. It's an empty room today.
It is. It's just us.
You see how black folks are when Packers games are on?
Abandoned.
No liberation.
Man, we got wings to eat.
It's all about Packers and wings and Coronas and Hennessy.
It's all good.
But we here.
It's still a revolution. The revolution won't be televised, though.
It won't. It won't be on no football game either.
Would it be dope? Would it be dope, though, if it was?
Is the revolution on River West Radio?
Is it?
Is it?
That's a good question.
Things that make you go, So you know what we about, man. All black everything, black power, black liberation. Organization that's set out to basically empower black people to do for themselves, to think for themselves, and to utilize all tools socially, politically, economically, educationally to reclaim their culture, to empower themselves with an agenda set forth by themselves to cure the ailments and problems that we have as a community, as a black people. It's pretty simple. It's not black supremacy. It's just normalcy of people, of cultural people, wanting to empower their own. So that's pretty much what we're about.
True.
And so on AB Radio, we get revolutionary and ratchet.
All day.
We mix it up. You know what I'm saying? Like I was about to say a bad joke. I'm not even gonna say it.
Good.
But we mix it up. You know, like a DJ. That's a better joke. Like a DJ.
I already know where that was gonna go. I already know. There's some announcements, as always. Tuesday we have Sankofa Study Circle, 7 p.m., 4850 West Fond du Lac Avenue. We are finishing, right?
I jacked it last Sankofa.
So
I kind of jacked the class. 2 hours. Supreme and Vicky, you know, they didn't really have a choice, but I jacked the class.
That happens.
And I was trying to get folks to organize, like, you know, what would it take to build a UNIA in today's context? Like, we're reading these books, but what are we starting to really vision what it would take to organize that type of organization? And then where are we going? What's our vision? What do people think the solutions are? Like, so it was really just, you know, let's throw the books aside for a second and apply some of the thought that we've been studying and talking about. And
it comes right from the book, though, because you're learning a lot about in that text what Garvey did and what he went through.
Right. The pros, the cons, the negatives, the positives. You know, shout out to Dr. Marimba Ani. I don't know if you know about this woman. I don't really completely know her full history, but I know she was part of SNCC. I know she was married to one of the founders of SNCC. But she's a very dope educator. She has this Message to the Warriors on YouTube. Please check it out. It's about 20 minutes of goodness. But she just talks about what we're, you know, what our purpose is as African people, as African sovereignty. As warrior scholars, we're here to teach and have a vision for Africa, to care about our people. And it was just powerful. So shout out to Dr. Marimba Ani. You know what I'm saying?
It's a powerful message. It's posted all over our Facebook.
All over. Already.
You can look at it and
it goes to Tony Marley. Already, fam.
But it's a wonderful 20-minute clip, so it's not even a whole long class period speech. But she breaks down to the very finest essence of the idea of what it means to lead and what it means to be a warrior.
Right.
And she doesn't play no games. She calls it out. She says, who are these political leaders?
Who are they?
Who put them in their positions and who called them leaders?
And she said we don't need leaders. We need warriors. We need organizers with visions. And so and anyone who calls himself a leader should be called on the carpet by the people and asked, what are your solutions? What's your plan? What's your agenda to get us out of this mess? Boom.
Being able to say, this is our standard for leadership. That's the thing. And your community has to have a standard for leadership. Like, you can't come in here and lead us anywhere without fulfilling these requirements.
Who are you? What have you done?
Those questions are valid.
You know, they're very valid. We talk about accountability all the time. We have a lot of people, political grassroots, religious institutions who are anointed as leaders. In Milwaukee, it's a small farm with a lot of big fish. I think they're small fish, but they think they're big fish.
So what defines leadership
What
here?
defines them? It's a low standard. It's like
What is
anybody
it?
who could string together intelligible or unintelligible sentences gets crowned a leader.
So you said anyone could speak English?
Anyone who can attempt to speak English with a lot of passion can be crowned a leader, or anyone who's elected is automatically crowned a leader.
It has nothing to do with their work.
Nothing to do
There's
with their
no
work,
evidence.
their vision, or even their commitment to black people or people.
Who are our leaders?
I don't know. Nas.
Is he? No, I mean locally.
Kendrick
like here.
Lamar.
Like here.
Shout out, well, first of all,
Oh man.
shout out to
No.
Kendrick Lamar.
Late. Everybody
wanna-
listening is like late. This
Yo.
has been out for like 3 years.
I'm on a late show, but what really that means that you all haven't been educating E-Biddle on the music scene like Kendrick Lamar. Dude is dope. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar. Download his CDs, his MP3s. Very dope musician. Shout out to Sharita. I put a message on Facebook about Sharita. I nicknamed Asha Smiley, and we call Sharita Smiley because she smiles just as much as Sharita does, and they both
beautiful.
yellow like smiley faces.
Oh.
So I nicknamed Asha Smiley. Shout out to my family. Shout out to ABE. Shout out to all the beautiful people of the world, beautiful black people doing their thing. There was a rally today in front of Tom Barrett's house. Occupy the Hood, ACLU, a lot of community folks came out. ABE was there in attendance to talk about police brutality, to stand in solidarity with Occupy the Hood. They had an event last week with County Supervisor David Bowen, who's a part of ABE and Occupy the Hood. They put something together, and they really had a strong community turnout to talk about what's going on with the police brutality and the deaths and other infractions of injustices of the police department, very emotionally charged. And I thought the most interesting thing about the situation was not only the amount of young people that were speaking on their experience, but you really just saw people who were spiritually hurt. It wasn't a political situation. It was a spiritual, emotional situation where people honestly felt like they didn't matter in this world, in this society, in this city.
Which is a political issue.
Which is political, but not political like, we're here for jobs. No, that's not really what it is. We're here to be dignified. We're here to be treated with respect, dignity, as a citizen of this so-called city, of this so-called country.
It's the struggle to be allowed to express your own humanity.
To exist.
And the thing is I wasn't there, but I saw a lot of the video, and I agree. Like, that's what you saw. Is you saw hurt, you saw pain, you saw frustration. You really saw frustration because this is what I'm living, and I don't understand why you're not getting it.
Right.
I don't understand why you don't understand where the problem is. Why aren't you trying? But the biggest thing I think that was really hurtful is, I think people were saying, in some respects, why aren't you trying to help me? Why aren't you trying to vindicate
why aren't you trying to help me? And
I don't understand it.
It's not to be understood. And I think for those who are in touch with their history, what's frustrating is to see like the same cycles happen every day. Like, this was happening in the 60s, this happened in the 20s, this happened in the Reconstruction era, this happened in slavery. Like, this has been the existence of black people in this country, struggle. And the struggle to be alive, and the struggle just to be dignified as a human being and exercise your rights, and walk in the neighborhood and not be molested by cops. The grandmother of Derek Williams was just in pain. Like, you took away my grandbaby. You got 3 kids. What's wrong with you? One of the young people said, you shouldn't be alarmed about how he's speaking to you, because they was cussing. It was like Red Fox and Richard Pryor just cussing these folks out righteously, though. But the young people was like, yo, this is how the cops talk to me every day.
That's real.
And that's real. Like, you're alarmed because it's not protocol for me to talk to you this way.
But because you haven't heard it.
But you haven't heard it. But this is my reality every day, and I'm bringing it to you. And that's what I thought. And the chairperson of the commission, she lost control. One of the young ladies called one of the black folks out on the panel, like, I see you at church every Sunday, fam. Like, what's really good with you? How are you allowing yourself to be used by this? But there was valid questions like, does this commission, because in this instance, the chief actually did the right thing. He fired this officer who beat the brakes off one of our sisters who was handcuffed in the back of a police car. He fired her. The commission reinstated this guy. Ridiculous. And so people came out righteously and called them out and said, look, all you need to go. I was proud.
That's good. I mean, you have to be able to at least say, or for that sister, you have to be able to say,
People
at
care.
least people, not just people cared, but people did something for me.
They did something.
Because a lot of
stood by
times
me.
people will express emotion.
Right.
Like, I feel sorry for you. I understand your pain, but very rarely
I'll take a
will
picture of a hoodie
will
on
peop-
Facebook.
very rarely will people actually do something on your behalf, actually say, no, I'm gonna speak for you.
Right.
And I think that's a strong and a powerful thing to say. No, sis, we're not gonna let this
Right.
happen. We're not gonna allow this to be your reality.
The police chief was texting and smirking. Teddy from Upper Underground cussed the chief out. He wasn't even making sense. He was just cussing. Hey, one of the situations there, there's only one alder person there, Malele Cox. None of the other aldermen or alder persons were there. None of the black men who are on the Common Council were there. And I don't really have any love for any of you. And you know why.
That's a shame.
That's a personal issue. But what I'm telling you politically, why weren't you all there?
Not politically. That's a shame. Period.
It is a shame.
Period. Like, as a human being, this isn't a race issue or anything. Someone from your community gets their brakes beat out of them by a police officer, and
Right.
you don't even come to
You
say
don't come
anything.
and say anything,
This is
or be
not
present, or be supportive, or
just
just find out
even
what's
show
going
your
on.
face.
They were probably in their offices watching the City Channel.
Probably together eating popcorn.
That's why you got to hold these people.
Who are our
accountable.
leaders?
Who are our leaders? This is what we're gonna get on some ratchet stuff later, but we're gonna talk about leadership and vision, because I was literally sitting down today. I had all the babies today, and I was just sitting down. And people always, accuse me of being angry, and I'm frustrated. I'm angry just like those young people are. I'm 31 years old. I'm literally, researching who I am and redefining who I am, and not seeing any progress. And I work in labor, I work in politics, I work in a lot of different circles where our agendas aren't articulated. No one cares, and no one's working to articulate our agendas. And I literally have to fight to not only articulate my agenda in those circles, but then I got to defend myself against my own community, who doesn't seem to think that we should be able to even have an agenda.
Right.
And so it's just it's frustration, it's constant frustration of being in circles where I get to be in the labor world. When I go in the labor world, I was in a political conference. We talked about labor issues. We didn't sit around and talk about other people's issues. We talked about labor issues. And I go and I'm supportive of other groups, women's rights and LGBT rights, and we talk about their issues. And literally, when you get into a space where black people can talk about their issues, you have to fight off ignorance from the white community, the black community, other communities who are like, why are you guys congregating, getting together to talk about your issues? Because I'm literally in those same rooms and they're not talking about our issues. Mm-hmm. That's why. Mm-hmm. And that's why ABE was created. I was talking to a friend this week and they were like, yeah, a lot of people question the fact that you even started ABE because, you're friends with white people. That's literally what came out of their mouths. And I said, well,
why does love for self mean hate for anybody else?
Right. First of all, my love for black people doesn't mean hatred for any other type of people. It's ridiculous, stupid. Second thing, because it wasn't started. I started ABE because no one started ABE. It was a need and I did it. That's what I do. I just do things. I do things when I see stuff that needs to be done, I do them. I don't really ask for permission and wait for you to tell me to do them. You know what I'm saying? I'm about action, getting things done.
Yeah, I feel it. I understand the conversations that occur because it happens on the women's side too. The women's side is it's so hard to have a conversation about women empowering folks or empowering each other and it not turn into what about the men.
Right.
So I understand that sentiment. You see it in the black community, but then it happens right when you get into the women's circle too. So it goes back to that idea, like, where's my space? I become invisible at every space, even the ones I create for myself.
Right.
But I think one of the important issues to realize is all the people who are not black, who support ABE, who understand what it is and understand the idea of doing for self and self-determination and respecting someone's culture. Just because you don't know about their culture or you believe or been socialized or educated to believe that there is no such thing as a black culture or there's no culture of African-American people, that they're just a lost people,
right,
not tied to anything.
Right.
They're not continental Africans. They're not Asians. They are just a lost people. Just because you've been educated that way
right,
does not mean that's valid. And so what it comes from is anybody trying to assert something that you don't know, you become scared of. What is that? What is that idea? Why are y'all coming together? Just like I said a couple days ago, you had put up that status about when black folks come together, why is it always this this energy? Like, what are they doing? And it's the whole idea of
They get scared as hell.
It's terrifying.
Right.
Because black people come together. If black people actually unite,
What would this country look
things
like?
happen.
Right.
Things, every time a group of black people have actually united,
Things have
there's no
happened.
stopping it. There's no stopping a united black front.
Right.
There isn't. And so when it actually comes together, that's the idea. Because there's no stopping it, people have this mentality in their head, that idea of gang mentality.
Right.
That they're going to do something to us because black people uniting interrupts the status quo. It does not ever go along with the status quo.
Right.
You get a group of black people that together and they agree on something, it's going forward.
It's going forward.
There's no stopping
It's organic.
it. And because of that energy is terrifying. I mean, it goes all the way back to how we ended up here. The only way we could end up here is if they tore us apart.
Right.
United black people couldn't end up in America like this.
That's true. So the most revolutionary thing to do is love each other and come together. The black family was torn apart. Now we got to bring it back together. Unite like Black Power Voltron.
Black Power Voltron.
And get it cracking out here. Is there hope?
Is there? Who are our leaders? I mean,
Who are our leaders?
it brings us back to that conversation.
I want everyone listening to do a self-inventory of your life. Think about who you consider a leader and why. Is it because they have a nice family? Is it because they're charismatic, a way with words? Do they actually have a vision? Are they about solving problems? I think leaders look to empower others. I think they look to solve problems. I think they say, look, there's a problem. I want to take this bull by his horns and figure this thing out. Do we really have black leaders?
What's
our vision? Where we going?
What is our criteria for leadership? Who do I allow to come into my house and say, you know what, I want to help your family get to this place?
Right.
What credentials do I need to see for them? And I'm not saying credentials like certificates, or I don't need the white infrastructure to validate you to come into my house. I don't need that.
You mean like
I'm trying to say
colleges, degrees?
I don't need that. I want to know, what do I say as a member of this community that says this is my leader, or this is a leader, or this is leadership. This is what leadership looks like.
Right.
What is it? And it's okay to have rubrics. That's what people get. People get terrified by the idea of organization because they see organization as white. White people organize, we do the opposite. No, to have criteria and standards, that's something that you do. You do that. It's something to protect yourself from invasion.
Right.
And that's the reason why we've been invaded so easily. What criteria have we set up to prevent people to get in? So how do we know? How do we identify our leaders? And where are we giving the accolades of leadership to? Because with leadership comes respect.
And responsibility. Great power comes great responsibility.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
Ben Parker, Spider-Man. Spider-Man has some of the dopest life lessons.
I knew this was coming.
With great power comes great responsibility.
It was actually Ptah-Hotep. The oldest book ever written. You can find that proverb in there. But we can quote Ben Parker. See, the white man stealing the black man stuff once again. That's real.
Boom.
That's real. But no, it's really like, what do you want to see in your leaders? Like, what do you want to see in your middle? What do you want to see? What do you want to see in your leaders?
Vision.
What is vision?
I want them to articulate with me where we're going. I want them to be able to analyze and assess where we're at presently, our condition. And I want them to work with me and educate me on how to organize my community and myself to get myself and my community out of the situation. I want them to have a plan. I want them to be bold. I want them to be bold. That's really one. I want them to be creative and innovative. You know, like I was joking next door. I said Barack Obama would just get on TV tomorrow and just tell black people it's okay to love yourselves.
Because I would be bold.
Do things for yourselves, because we don't, in this country, we're going nowhere fast. We haven't really shown you anything for you to believe in us. So you must do things for yourselves if you truly want something out of life. Don't be caught up by me being here.
He don't have to say all that. He could just say, black people, love yourselves, and I would be floored. I would literally pass out on the floor.
Would you walk out in all Barack Obama gear, bandana, fanny pack?
Probably. I would go get
the
picture with Malcolm X, Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Obama. I would go put that up.
Would you start a church, the Church of Barack Obama?
Barack Obama. Everybody else got a church. Why can't Barack Obama, who told us to love black people? And the people start churches off of one thing a person said.
That's true.
So if he said one thing and I liked it, All hail Saint Obama. All praises. People are already praising him as it is. I don't know what the difference is.
That's true.
People treat him like Jesus Christ.
But that's what I want out of my leader. I want boldness. I want creativity. I want them to know where we're going and to actually to work with us, work with me. You know,
I want the leader to be of the community. I think so many times I've seen people who are identified as leaders who have been previously affiliated with the community or maybe call themselves a part of the community because of their skin color. But I want someone to be of, like, you live on my block.
Live there.
You make the money I make.
Look at Killer Cam jogging down.
She said she's on her way down.
They say black women don't jog.
People do.
Cammy just jogs.
You seen her jogging in the rain?
Crushing stereotypes.
But I think that's what I really want to see in
Does that mean you have to leave? Does that mean you actually have to live in the community?
I think that's a requirement.
Can I live in River Hills?
And lead River Hills?
And lead Milwaukee?
No. There's no space or time for that.
Can I live in Mequon and lead Milwaukee?
No. There's no space or time for that.
Is there something wrong with people who live out there?
With living out there, you can live out there and be a part of those communities. Don't live out there and tell me what I should do over here.
Can I be a part of the solution?
That's like your mom being upstairs in the bedroom telling you to do something downstairs in the kitchen. You don't even know what's going down here. I'm living.
What if you love the community, but you recognize that I'm not sending my kids to these public schools. I'm not. It's gunshots over here. People are dying. I don't feel safe here.
If your entire idea is this community isn't for me, then go to the community that is for you. My thing is, you can't fight for a community you're not a part of physically, tangibly. I mean, your money needs to go into that community. Your life needs to revolve around that community. I need to see you.
What if I live out in the community? I'm literally asking questions because I think it's something that needs to be explored. There's a significant class problem in the black community that no one likes to talk about, and so I'm just trying to. I'm even though you all might think that I got a smart mouth, I'm really doing my best to be better, and just throwing out some questions just to expand thought. So what if you own a business in the community that employs people? What if you invest financially into the community, but you don't really live in the community? That
means your money's going somewhere else. If you have a business in the community, even if you employ people who live in that community, if you live elsewhere, the profits from that business are going to another community. So your best interest.
What if you own property in the community?
Doesn't matter.
Are you trying to say that I can't care about the community unless I live there?
No. Did I say that? We said who are our leaders.
I'm just telling you, that's what someone would ask you.
That doesn't even make any sense. You asked me who are our leaders. You can care about all kind of things. So, I care about people in Darfur. Do I live there? No. But am I going to say I could lead what's happened to fight against that? No. That would be asinine of me to say that I could go lead from something out here in a realm full of privilege and say I can tell you what's going on there.
AB has many critics, haters, whatever you want to call them.
Critics, haters.
Individuals who seem to feel like they have a stake in what we do. If they're not a part of AB, does their voice matter? If they're not doing the work of AB, or at least trying to attend meetings and functions and have some valid input, do their critiques outside the organization matter? That's valid because we're supposed to be about the community. So can the community hold us accountable without actually partaking in what we do or finding out what we're about?
I think my opinion is that people are going to have an opinion, especially if you're doing something in their community and they haven't had a chance to be involved, and they're entitled to it and to share it. But on how ABE is running and what we choose to do, your criticism only goes so far, because the way our organization runs, there's nothing stopping you from being a part of us. So you can.
What if I don't like Ian Biddle because he's a politician?
Well, the ABE's not for you.
I got something.
What if I don't believe women are equal, like some of our elders?
There's no place in them.
Killer Cam.
There's no place in ABE for anyone
Shout out
who
to Killer Cam.
shouts out to the
what is
oppression
these
of
things
women.
on your legs?
They're leg warmers.
Whoa.
Hi,
Killer
everybody.
Cam look like she Conan the Barbarian with her gear on right now.
So what do you think?
Killer
What
Cam,
is
tell
your
us your
ideas
thoughts.
on leadership?
Well, real quick, to answer your question, I think that about criticism, I think that if the criticism comes out of a place of love and it's genuine, then even if you're not a part, I'm willing to at least listen. But if you criticizing just because you got some smart stuff to say, then I don't even hear you. So if it comes out of love, even if you're not in the organization, I'm willing to listen
it's
to.
applicable. But I still stand by the thing is ABE's too accessible. We're too accessible in general. So you really can't say there's no rules.
There's not even a membership fee for you.
There's nothing.
It's a voluntary, you know.
You really don't even have to be present. Call somebody. You can call somebody and start building a relationship with
There's
someone.
no prereq to even come.
So it's really no excuse for saying I can't be a part.
So
it's a choice.
What do you think about leaders? What do you envision in a leader? What do you want from your leaders?
So I missed the last couple minutes because I was jogging down here.
Black girls jog.
But yes, they do. Even if they're halvesies.
Right. That's the half. That was the half side of you.
So anyway.
Not
so anyway, the comment that I had about leadership is this, and it speaks to something that we've had a conversation about a couple times, is the savior syndrome. So if we're going to look at leaders as saviors, as the people who are going to lead the revolution, who are going to lead the movement or whatever it is, to me that's false. That's not going to happen. To me, a leader is just a position, and we've talked about this.
Right.
A leader is just a position, and anybody should be able to step into that position if something happens to the leader. And so I'm not from Milwaukee, and I really don't pay attention to like politics here, but from what I have seen, leaders are self-serving in Milwaukee.
Whoa.
And so you don't have people who are trying to build, trying to teach, trying to organize.
Empower.
Right, trying to empower, trying to bring up the next people under them that can take that place.
Right.
They just want that position.
Right.
And that's where
And
the
power for
problem is.
themselves.
We have a comment from Miss Carmen Jones. She wanted to let us know that a leader should have the foresight and ability to cultivate and encourage leadership qualities in others. That's what she's looking for.
That's dope. I had a status that kind of correlated to what she just said yesterday when I was like, don't tell me how great you are. Tell me how you're making other people great. Don't tell me how powerful you are. Tell me how you're empowering others. That's what organizers do. That's what leaders do. You know, because we've seen that, you know, once you kill one of our charismatic leaders, you know, we just act like we don't know what to do. And, you know, as a people, we got to be honest about, you know, we get caught up in charismatic leadership on all levels, political, spiritual. Like, we get caught up in people who can talk well, dress nice, look nice, and are funny, you know, and who charm us. You know, but you know, leadership has to be more than that. And we have to understand that we're all leaders in ourselves. Like, it takes a nation to build a nation.
And Mo made this comment earlier, and I just lost it. I hope it comes back real quick about when you say who are our leaders, right? So if the community is looking around, they're saying, well, where are our leaders at? Well, that's on us. For me, that's on us.
Right.
Because like you just said, it's all of our responsibility. A leader doesn't fix anything. It's a movement. The people decide that the people need something different. And so if we want to look at everybody else and criticize the leaders and whatever, well, what are we doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're trying.
That's the thing. You hear way too often the whole idea of we're waiting. We're waiting.
Savior syndrome.
We're waiting. And I'm like, how are you saying we're waiting on you to lead when you hold the power to say who's a leader or not?
I got the power.
You got the ability to say it.
Snap.
But I just think that the ability of the community to come forward and say, these are our leaders, to just say that and be proud of them and say, these are our leaders. We protect our leaders. We serve for our leaders, and we're working so our leaders maintain their position. And to recognize that leadership is not a permanent position. You don't die in leadership.
You don't die.
The whole idea, training your replacement. The whole idea, like you said, is I'm in this role to make people better than me. And once they're better than me, I need to go take my place.
Like Mr. Miyagi. That's not true, because Mr. Miyagi was still better than Daniel's son.
Get out of other people's cultures. Get some better examples. Get some better examples.
Okay, I got another example.
Do, 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 do.
Who did Nino Brown cultivate in New Jack City? G Money?
Yes.
G Money's on crack though. I don't have any examples. I do. I just Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad.
Oh, okay.
They had the falling out.
He cultivated a leader to be better than him.
Cultivated a leader to be better.
But he realized he didn't want anybody to be better than him, and they killed him. So that's how it
Not a
pretty
great
much.
example.
happen. But the sentiment still stands. I'm gonna think of one because we need to have an example from our own community in which think about Martin Luther King. His dad was in the same mindset, preacher, all of that, and he cultivated his son
But he didn't want his son to be out there like that.
To have the same strengths. See, I'm talking about in respects to his preacher side. He cultivated his same strengths, made sure he sent him to school, changed his name so they could both have these same ideas to be better than he was to fulfill his position in church.
Meteor Man. Example.
Meteor Man. His parents.
False.
Well, okay. So
False.
I have an example. Of the leader, but you don't necessarily see the people under them. But Ella Baker, that was her thing. And then when you talk about Ella Baker, you go back to grassroots instead of flash and pomp.
She didn't like them dudes either.
No,
she did not.
She was
hated
anti all of that.
She was anti Dr.
She
King.
said, y'all showboating.
Showboating.
ASS Negroes.
Clark said the same thing though.
Ain't got no time
Dr.
for
Clark.
it. Talk about Dr. Clark's a good example.
Oh, he's a great
All
example.
his students. I'm not going to say they're surpassing because I have such reverence, but he has students who are doing
he has people who follow
excellent
him.
work.
Yeah.
Marimba Ani, who you shouted out earlier,
Marimba
is a
Ani.
student of Dr. John Henrik Clark.
You know what Marimba Ani said? She said it's about power, y'all.
She
Power
said just
and
like
results.
that.
It's about power, y'all. So it's safe to say that leaders must produce power for the community, and results.
And I think that's the problem, is that we don't know our own power. And so we're looking for some leader
Tell us what to do.
to showcase these powerful characteristics. And we think that means that it gives us power.
You're looking for
and it
Jesus.
really does. Savior syndrome.
Boom.
To have it. And
What was
you know
that?
what? I think what goes along with that, though, is leaders having the savior complex. Because, everything that happens in the black community is reciprocal. Nothing is one way. And so you have a people who respond in this way. You have leaders who respond equally.
Yo, Joe Clark from Lean On Me was a savior. He came in and transformed that school.
That's what happens when there's a white narrative to black stories. That's what happens. That's how white people interpret the black experience. That's probably one of the things that we have to do with it. You look at all the media stories of detrimental or saddened black communities. They're all saved by a person. A person comes in. And mostly in the media, it's a white person who comes and saves the black community from themselves, because if they are left to their own accord, they will destroy themselves. That's the narrative that's purported in the media, which I think a lot of black people internalize. We can't do this. And you see a lot of leaders. That's the other thing about leadership. They need to believe in their communities as much as they believe in themselves.
Right.
I think that there's so many leaders out here who can there's so many leaders out here who really do say a lot of the rhetoric that you guys still say. They are creative, they are bold, they do have all of these things, these characteristics. However, they still don't think that their leadership is valid unless it's validated by the outside community. So I think that that's a real key component of understanding what leadership for the community is, not just of it, but for it. I think so.
A part of Lean On Me was the black lady teacher who went off on Clark and was basically like, man, you don't do this all by yourself.
I think she was a vice principal.
She was a vice
Oh,
principal.
my bad.
See?
I wasn't trying to be patriarchal.
I was trying to deny her power.
I just know her position. But I think one time she had the test scores and he was like, man, leave me alone. I got something to do. And she was like, look, man. And that's right, because she offered her resignation.
Yes.
But she was like, you don't do this all by yourself. You do a lot of barking, but we believe in you. And you tear us down. Yada, 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 yada.
We do the work. That's what she was really trying to say.
I was trying to tell people, like, the Matrix, right? You had the one. But you had to have the architect. I mean, you had to have the key maker. You had to have all these people who, quote unquote, pay the way, but they all had a role equally as important to the one. Like, so you can't put up someone like a preacher or a president or a mayor or anyone as more than yourself, because we all in this together.
That's one of the things that I say all the time to people is everyone has their role, because when you're quote unquote conscious, I hate that term, but until we come up with a better one.
Aware.
Everybody else is unconscious.
Right.
No, everyone else is unaware. You know what I mean? What it implies.
Have you seen Facebook lately?
But when
People are unaware.
when you tend to hold certain revolutionary ideologies, people tend to look at you and say, oh, you think that you better than me because you doing such and such, and you're things like that. And I tell people all the time that everybody has a role, and everybody's role is different.
So that's Cam, you actually touched on a very good segue a topic to segue into this whole leadership vision conversation. I think it's a continuing conversation. It's a continuing conversation because it's a dope conversation. But how do we come into the agreement that everybody's role, like, so the street politician has to respect what the other politician does, the preacher needs to respect what the business community, like, how do we get to a situation where we're all respecting each other's roles, each other's lanes in this Black liberation fight?
That comes with the agenda and the purpose. Because when you have a vision, it's just real simple. It's you playing basketball, right? If you're on a team that you have a good shooter, you know what I'm saying? You're always utilizing that shooter's strength because the shooter's going to score points. But that doesn't deny the other 4 people on the court. Or the 4 people on the court each have a role because they know that the end result is we want to win this game. So that means I have to block. I got to rebound. You have to make sure you get back on defense. You may have to make sure you guard him. Y'all have to double. Everyone has a role. Not only do you just have a role as you know what to do, but you write out plays, meaning that there's episodic challenges that happen throughout the game where you guys say, this is going to be your role here and now, and then we're going to revise based on what the enemy does. And so understanding it like that is no different. Playing basketball, it's so easy to get 5 boys on the court and say, this is who you playing. They strategize real quick, come out how they're going to win, and they go execute. It's no different than that.
It really it comes down to some savvy, to being politically savvy, but it really comes down to envy. Because the quarterback gets all the pub. You know, Michael Jordan got all the pub.
Doesn't that become the fault of the media? Because anybody, okay, if you play team sports, right? Even if you, with the exception of a good team, like a team that actually had camaraderie, even though they're all trying to interview the quarterback or interview the point guard, they all know what their role is, and they all know what the team, that's the team.
But the
Do you know what I'm saying?
The
media is the one who's actually going to interview. That's not their fault. You know what I'm saying? The media is the one who makes sure that there's a savior, make sure there's a point person, make sure there's...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that in order, like, it's a very good analogy, but the whole thing of, like, who's more important, the media does play a big role in that, but even on the team,
the pay structure.
And Amari is my favorite player, so I can use him as an example, left the Suns because he wanted to be the man. Like, and that was just his thing. He wanted to be the man.
There's exceptions to those rules. Like, when you're on a team where you actually have camaraderie, then you understand what that is.
But in order for Black people to become that team, I think that we have centuries of psychological conditioning that tells us that we need to be fractionalized, that, you know what I mean, the same reason for gangs and people killing each other and all of that stuff.
Because even the things that you named, you're like, how does the business community get with the church community, get with the street politician? That's validating that all three of those things need to exist. Because it could come to a point where it says, who cares what y'all are doing over there? You know what I'm saying? So it's like that the conversation about parameters has to occur before we even say that we need to agree upon these things, because some people aren't going to count. They aren't going to matter.
I think if I look deeper in the sports analogy, is also how the team treats the person who scores all the points, and they get paid a lot, and they get endorsement. So
but see, now that becomes a structural thing.
We
think about more of what happens on the street.
But who's on TV? But the person who can speak well will be on TV.
Is that true though in sports?
No, I'm talking about like in community building.
Is that true in community building?
No, the person who is the spokesperson will be the one that the media comes to, will be the one, the image that you see on television.
But how do you decide who that person is?
And other people be like, man,
that person's not always the one who speaks well. That person's usually the one who is the most entertaining.
Electrifying, huh? Even. Wink, wink. Yo.
I think I have a bag of popcorn here somewhere.
So, I think that's important because I remember when I was a county soup, you know, it was always this weird dynamic, and I think that's probably why I created ABEs, because, you know, you were trying to get with these folks who had more knowledge than I did, like who understood the politics of African liberation more than I did, you know, but they looked at you like, I mean, you're a politician. And it's like, nah, man, we got to find a way that we can bridge all these gaps and learn from each other. You know, like, we got to teach people what we're on so we can all work together for the common good, the common cause. Because at the end of the day, unless we're trying to build some sovereign land somewhere, we still here, and we still have to survive up in the revolution. We still got to operate within systems and create independent systems, so everybody needs to have a stake in this.
I think that speaks to another problem that you guys mentioned earlier, but I don't know how much you talked about it, is the intergenerational dialogue, because you have an older generation who thinks things need to be done a certain way, and then you have a younger generation who grew up in a completely different world that was supposed to be better, but if we say that it's not better and we talk about the different things that we have wrong, we're quote unquote disrespecting our civil rights leaders.
Basically told our point's invalid.
Right. And they don't understand, like, yes, we appreciate the work that you tried to do, the work that you did, what you were working towards, but this is our situation now. And so we need to do something different.
It didn't stop. Like, you guys are waiting for, I'll be honest, man. A lot of so-called elders, and we respect and love the ones who actually are there and who are elders. But a lot of these folks are waiting for their Lifetime Achievement Award. And every time they walk into a room of young people, they're looking for a Lifetime Achievement Award, applause, speeches, and, reverence. And it's like, we're still in the struggle.
Which
we can get there when we get to success.
Right. And what's your role in leadership?
When we get to the promised land, we could all day already. We'll celebrate your achievements, but right now we have to continue this fight. So
It's
what are
just
you
like
doing
I
to
said
prepare?
before. Your whole point of leadership is to cultivate people to be better. And once you've done that, you go take your seat.
You go take your seat.
You go
Have
take
a seat.
your seat.
We'll bring you one.
We'll be there for your birthday.
So that's the message to the elders.
We'll go to
Message to the grassroots, messages to the elders.
Yes.
have a seat.
When the work is finished, we shall congratulate you.
But that comes from a relationship.
There's still work to be done. Like,
Right.
a lot of
You
people,
do your work.
Right. A lot
You
of
do
folks
your
think that it's
work,
time.
right.
Like, I look in the community and I see a lot of institutions that are failing or have failed. Like, you look at the Black Holocaust Museum. Corey used to work there. She was the executive director. I was there all the time. And a lot of people who do a lot of this talking, they don't remember who I was because at the time, no one cared who Ian Biddle was. But I remember all of you.
Before he was senior.
Right.
But I remember all your faces, all your names, and I watched how you let that museum fall. And so a part of it is respect. I don't have a lot of respect for people in this community because I've seen them do nothing. And I've seen them talk one thing in community brainstorming, but then when young people run against these status quo phonies, you don't want to fight for these young people, or you belittle these young people, or when young people want to organize Kwanzaa events at your institutions, you want to belittle us about how you don't know who we are, even though we're trying to work with you, trying to learn from you, trying to have unity and do events with you.
And if we're not I shouldn't say the right way, but if you feel like we're not doing something,
Teach.
then it should be, here is my open hand. Come on, let me
teach
show you.
Right.
Instead of, like you said, belittling.
It's like people went through the civil rights movement, like you said, looking for their Lifetime Achievement Award, but expecting to become revered at the end. Like, expecting to become, oh, my face is going to be on a dollar bill, that's why I'm doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what comes into question to me is, your actions speak louder than your words.
Right.
So your actions now make me question your intent at any point in the game. What I'm seeing is, did you ever have a sincere heart for this?
Right.
Or were you only about
Your
what you were going to receive?
Own self
What were you going to get out of this?
promotion.
And so I've seen that, and I've been here a short time, but actions speak louder than words. So I've seen you disrespect people, or if I've seen you talk. That's the other thing. How you treat women really puts the door out for me. Like, I can't believe that this is someone that I'm supposed to revere and respect, and I see you disrespect women in my face, and you're gonna be trying to put me in a position when I ask you a question.
Right.
No, it doesn't work like that. And so I respect that idea. That the thing I want to emphasize is, we appreciate the elders who do take the time to say, this is how you do things, let me help you out, here's a donation, or even acknowledge, I'm limited, I can't do X, Y, and Z, so here's what I will do for you, just call me if you need me. Like, those things are respected and appreciated, and that's why I always respect the time Marimba Ani has given to me, because every time I've asked her a question, she's been more than willing to say, okay, let's talk about it. Right. She's never been like, oh, that's y'all young folks. She's been willing to say, tell me everything that y'all are doing. What are y'all building on? And listen and say, well, this is my perspective. This is what I think about it. It's not telling me what I should do, but just ready to have a dialogue. So I respect that out of elders, but if your actions speak louder than
That's true.
your words, I can't pay you respect that's not due. And
we need to mix it up. Like, yeah, we've come a long way, but if you look at the statistics for Black people in this country, in this city, they are horrible.
Right.
Horrible. So there might be small organizations that are out there doing something for a few people, but we are at war. So we need a definite united front. Like, we need to come together more than ever before, because we're at war. And so if you have young people that are saying things that you disagree with, or that are doing things that you disagree with, maybe you should look at yourself and say, okay, well, what's actually going on here? Because the race ain't over.
It's not.
We're at war.
We're at war.
War. And people are sitting around saying, oh, they don't know what they're doing, or whatever they want to say about ABE.
Right. What are you doing?
statistics in Milwaukee, horrible.
Right.
So obviously we need to do something different.
One more comment on leadership from our Facebook page. Sister Vicky, our leader of Sankofa Study Circle, said she's looking for boldness, a leader that goes against the grain, stands up for the people no matter what. No matter what.
For me, and this is the second thing that I was going to say, a leader sells an idea. Because once you sell the idea, and then I love Chairman Fred Hampton, because when he was saying, I am a revolutionary, he wasn't talking about, he was talking about him, but he wasn't talking about him. He was telling everybody else to repeat that. Right. You say, I am a revolutionary. He sold the idea. Right. You know what I mean? And we need those ideas sold on bigger levels. We need to get more people in the community onto that idea. Sure. That way, when something happens to that person, like the pigs assassinate you, then someone else can step right up into that, role, and the movement can continue on.
Shout out to Fred Hampton.
Yes.
Senior. December 4th, 1969, he was assassinated by the government of this country, of all levels. They were all complicit in his assassination. They killed him, cold blood. But shout out to Fred Hampton Sr. for having the courage to fight for us. Thank you, brother Hampton Sr. So I gotta
Fred Hampton Jr.
No, he's senior. He has a son who's a junior. Yeah, he's senior.
Okay.
I know about the senior stuff. Trust me.
Hey, Monique Liston Sr. is gonna be real. My firstborn daughter, Monique Inez Liston Jr.
Before we go to the ratchet, I had one more question. When I was a county soup, a lot of people always criticized me about not waiting for the people or waiting for the stakeholders. But I just didn't have a lot of patience for people who didn't want to solve any problems or do something. Like, it's so urgent out here. I'm trying to pass 50 bills in one, like it was a sense of urgency. And what I found out a lot of times is that the community is taking its gradual, incremental baby steps, trying to get people to believe in themselves, believe in something. Can a community really truly wrap around an agenda? Or does someone have to be the driving force of an agenda and people will catch on later? Like, there's a lot of trains of thought on this.
I admire the history of the founder of the National Black United Front. I can't remember his name, but he had the idea. They had a community meeting. It was about 1,000 people there, in which they were like, everybody get their ideas on the table. So they really had what turned out to be a 20-hour meeting where everybody got their ideas on the table. A committee from that idea kind of drafted what is now part of the Constitution, I think that's the word, of the National Black United Front. And he went and drove across the country to all these participating organizations to get them on board. Like, here, remember this? Y'all agree to this? This is what we come up with. So it was a collective effort. It was a collective effort.
Had to,
and somebody was like, somebody organized, just like anything else.
Like anything else.
Like anything else, they organized it, but then went back and said, we're going to get all y'all on board. So it was a collective effort, and collective ideas were all a part of the inputting. But I think the organization, just like with anything else, somebody takes the lead on organizing the effort without disrespecting anybody's voice, and then making sure that everybody gets on board. And so that person, I can't remember who wasn't about leadership in the organization. This is, okay, now we have the agenda.
Now this that is we have found love, what are we going to do?
This is what
Heavy
we work
D.
with.
Shout out to Heavy D.
This is what we work with. So I think the idea, my criticism has been that people always want to say something but not put forth anything. And so it's fine to say, I don't want to do this. That's fine. But tell me what you want to do and what does it lead to? That is two things. Not, I don't want to do this and then let's do something else. No, tell me what else you're going to do that's going to lead to something better.
What are you willing to do?
Let me know. Let me know what is it that you want to do? What are your parameters? Put those things out there. A lot of times people have none. And so all they do is critique what's out there because they have no parameters on what they want to do.
They have no ideas.
All they want to know is that, your idea is not going to work.
Killer Khan, what about you? Can a community coalesce around an agenda together, or does someone have to actually drive it and people just catch up?
In Milwaukee, specifically?
Yeah, Milwaukee, black people.
It's sad.
Gary.
I love my city.
Yeah, so I love mine.
GI,
even though
Glen Park.
Your city got lame issues, my city got lame issues.
I was thinking about a sense of urgency, and I think we talked about that. That's something that people lack. And then I was just sitting here contemplating, like, Harriet Tubman saying she could have freed 1,000 more
more
if they knew they were slaves. And so sometimes I kind of apply that to now, like people don't know we're at war, but black people who are poor, they know, they know, but we still at the same time have these psychological factors that the racism that we internalize that makes us go against ourselves, go against things that are in our best interest because our education is horrible, right? So common sense tells us we don't have anything, you know what I mean? We're poor. I gotta struggle to find something to eat. The cops are killing our babies. They're beating our women.
Right.
So they know that something is wrong. But look at the dire situation that we're in, especially the post-civil rights generation, because we're told by white America and we're told by our elders that things are better for us, that we can achieve the American dream and all of that other stuff. When us three sitting here know the American dream is false. But how many people know that? They know something's not right.
They don't know exactly what it is.
Right. And they don't always necessarily know what to do about it. And so I think that if we can appeal to these basic things that people need, food, clothing, shelter, then we would have a better chance at getting into people's heads to be able to re-educate them to love themselves, to love their people, to love where they come from, to not be afraid to be African. Then if we can focus around those basic principles to bring that to the people, then we can have some success.
Boom. So thank you all for your conversation. Thank you all for listening. We're going to get to the ratchet. Shout out to all the leaders who are doing the real work of leadership. Hopefully you're checking your egos. I'm talking to myself as well, making it more so about the people than your own self-efficacy. Look it up. Boom. Top 10.
Hood movie classics.
Oh, I was about to say something else, but we could do that.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
Top 10 first date deal breakers.
Oh, our favorite thing to talk about.
We can do top 10 hood classics.
Nope. First date deal breakers. First date deal breakers.
Farting? Is that a deal breaker?
Listen, Cammie and I looked at each other because we consider ourselves real women.
Right.
And real women mean that just like men, we have bodies. And our bodies do bodily functions. I take poops, smells come out.
Right.
Those things are natural for me. So why am I going to penalize you for having those same things happen
So
to you?
I come to your door, I pick you up,
Exactly.
and I just let out a loud one like,
I will laugh.
It depends on how you handle the situation.
Don't act like you didn't do it.
Right. I was going to say, if you don't say nothing, then I'm going to be like this.
If you act like you didn't do it, now you lying. Now I don't trust you. It's a whole other. Just own up to it.
But if you like, dang, you smell that, then I'm going to be like,
What would you eat?
Let's get you some kale, boo. Come on.
So flatulence is not a
Not a deal breaker.
All right, so
I
give
don't
me some. We only got a couple more minutes.
Only talking about yourself.
Yes.
Talking about yourself.
Yeah. Any mentions of the ex. Any mention
Number
of
2.
the ex. What?
So number 1, talking about yourself. Number 2, talking about your past flings, your past lovers. Number 3.
Trying to impress me with things like money, cars, jewelry, being the boss at your job.
Boss.
I don't care about none of
I'm
that
a
stuff.
boss. Okay. 3. I mean, no, 4.
Being disrespectful to anybody who is helping us during the day. So like any cashiers, taxi drivers, anything like that. Being disrespectful to them.
What if they're not intelligent?
Can I make that judgment on the first date?
Right. I don't think
What
so.
if you're like, what's the last book you read? Man, I don't read books.
A lot of people say that.
Date is over.
What you mean you don't read books?
So you got
This is a book date. We about to go to the library.
Right.
So people don't. So if a man doesn't read books, that's a first date deal breaker for you. They don't read books, or if he hates books, like man, or like, you know what? I haven't read books, but I need to get back into books.
I've heard. See, the thing
Versus-
is,
That could be a lie, though. That could be game.
yes,
Like,
because
dang.
people fall in love with Africa because of women all the time. It's so many dudes. I believe the revolution lies within the women because there's so many dudes who get about the movement, then they break up with the girl, and then they're done with the movement, or they found a girl, so they're now all about it, and that's their new life now because of their attachment to the women. So it could be game, but then you might get a convert out of that. So
What about Denny's first date is at Denny's. Is that the first date deal breaker?
Okay, here's the deal, right?
You got 5 more. You know what I'm saying? We
Because
only got like a minute.
I'm not bougie at all, so it's not like you got to take me somewhere expensive. Actually, if you try to take me somewhere that's really expensive, I'll probably be like, nah, I'm good. But there are certain places that I don't eat at,
Like Denny's?
and Denny's is one of them.
Denny's makes me think of racism, like 1950s diner racism.
Or IHOP. I don't
We need
eat
5
at either
more.
one of those places.
We need 5 more. Top 10
deal breakers.
First date deal breakers.
First date deal breakers. Oh, looking at somebody else. Like
6.
attention needs to be here. At least for the first date. Like, I understand we're all human. I might glance at the girl if I see her and she looks pretty, but give me some attention. Like, this is first date.
7.
It's hard to think of some.
know,
Like, those
right?
are my main things. Like,
We gotta think of 3 more.
What about asking to go Dutch? Is that a deal breaker?
No.
don't ask me to go Dutch.
Mm.
No. Okay, yes. Sorry. That
That
is a deal breaker. Because I went on a
Uh-oh.
date with someone.
We got some
and
dissension.
we went to the movies. And he might be listening. I'm not going to say your name. I'm sorry, but you know the story. So,
It just got really
Damn.
real in here.
We only got like a minute.
okay, we went to the movies. And when we got there, he was like, oh, dang.
left
I'm
my
running
wallet.
kind of low. Can you? No, not I left my wallet. Just I'm running kind of low. Can you pay? I said, I can pay for me.
Now he asked for you to pay for both of them.
I can pay for me.
What if they bring their babies to the date?
If I knew they were
If you told me
coming,
beforehand.
yeah, then
If you
it's
told me
okay.
beforehand, but don't show up at my door with 6 kids.
Right,
Like,
no.
we all about to go out and be like, whoa.
What if all they do? What if
a
they
deal
all they,
breaker. A deal breaker for me is if I choose to eat when I'm adhering to the vegan lifestyle, for you to make a big deal out of it. What do you mean you don't eat meat? For all of that, I just.
What if they make explicit comments about sex?
That's not cool.
That's
I'll
not
probably
cool?
get up and leave if that's
Yeah,
happening. Like,
date's over.
what? Bye.
What if all they do is talk about Barack Obama?
Date's over.
You heard it
Date's
from the AB Whippets.
over.
Top 10 date deal breakers. This is your boy, the most electrifying human being of all time. So much humility in there. Killer Cam jogged all the way. Her white side activated. She jogged all the
Black
way.
people run. Stop doing that. That's not fair. That's not
They
what
run
we
from
promote.
plantations.
That's not what we promote. Black girls run.
Okay,
That's not
the
what we
show's over
promote.
now. Ian is going home.
Money Mo, AVE
That's not what
Radio,
we're about.
That is not okay.
Killer Cam.
It's not. Turn the music on.
Yo,
It's not okay. Turn the music on.
the music is on. Hey, don't be yelling at me. I really appreciate y'all. Hey, yo, have a great week. See us next Sunday, 8 p.m. Black Power Radio. E-bit up on the microphone. Oh.
I understand you want to go back to Europe. And I said, by rowboat, if necessary. And he said, there's a man who wants to see you in my office, Sir John Cockcroft, who had cracked the atom and was the first master-elect of something that didn't exist called Churchill College. And he said, we're looking for a director of study in the arts with a science background. The list is small, a very British put-down, a very British put-down. The list is small. And that's how I came to a muddy field full of water with blueprints, which I couldn't read, of course, to see the beginning of Churchill College.
Lovely. Can we just go back to the Institute for a moment? Were there, you mentioned 2 or 3 of the amazing people who were waiting in that queue as you got your lunch. Were there any others who particularly you either befriended or struck you?
Well, the great historian Kantorowicz, who was the main living medieval historian, of course, was there. De Tolnay, Tolnay, the Michelangelo man, the main Renaissance art man. There were the whole department of scholars of ancient Greek and Latin. Yes, indeed. But I had come just after von Neumann and Einstein. So Gödel, the one G-O-D-L, I mean, who has changed everything. Do you know what his citation was at the Harvard honorary degree? Harvard, in its snobbery, does not announce who gets them before they get them. And there trots onto the stage with his heavy glasses a little man, and the citation was the greatest step in human thought since Descartes. And that was Gödel. He was there, of course. And that's one of the few deeply personal things Oppenheimer ever said to me. He said early on, you may think you've been made welcome in the house of Einstein. You've been made welcome in the house of Gödel. And probably true. Einstein himself often felt this, that Gödel had changed all human thought that he had, age 24, when Gödel's proof made. So, but now I'm in Cambridge, at Churchill, and the fun of starting a place was immense, the sheer fun. We had Nissen huts in which to teach with the water coming in, but we started a number of revolutionary things like overseas fellows. We had brilliant people from America, Jack Boson from the start, and there were 3 students in English who had come desperately, not being able to get into any proper college, and it was an enormously exciting adventure. But from the start, I knew it wouldn't work. I had come, and Cockcroft had made me feel that he agreed that here was an opportunity to start new fields, that we should have linguistics, there were none at Cambridge, that we should have comparative literature, there was none, of course, at Cambridge. All sorts of hopes. I thought we would, and the people who warmly made me welcome, but warmly, were called Richard Keynes, Richard Adrian, Martin Wells, I could go on with it.
No, go on.
The high princes of Cambridge intellectuality, fellows of Trinity or Peterhouse to a man, who had come to join the new college with the one ambition to have as many firsts as Trinity. I mean, they didn't disguise this, which I thought was the most petty ambition for a new national college, for a college which had funds, which didn't know anything, in my opinion, to Cambridge. They saw it very differently. And so there was a warm, happy misunderstanding, in a sense, if you want, from the start. And then you had to be allowed to lecture as a fellow in college. And finally they had to move me to what's the biggest, Mitchell, to the Lady Mitchell Hall. There's standing room only there. Why? I taught how to read a poem after Marx, Freud, and Levi-Strauss. You imagine the excitement for the bored multitude here. I taught as a seminar what is translation, the philosophy I had more applicants to do doctorates than anyone else in the English faculty. This was going to be punished, and punished hard. And so then, as the law demanded, I was invited to apply for an assistant lectureship. That was the law. If you were a fellow and had lectured, you had to be given the chance of putting in for an assistant lectureship. And there came the famous interview, which has been so often described, has become legendary. Muriel Bradbrook and Huff in full gown, and I think you know the story. There was a copy of Encounter in front of them.
I'll tell it.
And Huff reads a sentence: to shoot a man because you disagree with him about Hegel's dialectic is a compliment to the human spirit. He said, "Did you write this sentence?" I said, "Oh, sure." "Do you believe it?" I said, "Yes." That was the end of the offer of assistant lectureship, and the end of... And whereupon, in its chivalric generosity, Churchill says, "We don't give a damn about you having an assistant lectureship. Lecture in our dining hall," which is one of the biggest in Cambridge. "Go on supervising. We will pay you a professorial fellowship." What Downing was doing for Leavis. The exact parallel, who also didn't have a lecture at that point still. And I thought hard about it. I loved the place. I loved my college. I loved Cambridge. My wife already was teaching. Leavis's students paid a terrible price. As Leavis couldn't examine, nor be member of the boards that set the tripos, no, they paid a terrible price. They paid for his genius and for his belief that to be lecturing at Downing was more necessary and eminent, rightly, than any faculty post. And then he went to York, as you know. And there followed some very, very hard years. 2 children, 2 young children, no Cambridge job, a tiny college stipend, you know, tiny when you're a fellow, just a fellow stipend, but no.
But you were professorial.
No, I turned that down.
Oh, I see.
I turned all that down because I knew it would...
Oh, I see.
I wasn't going to play the Leavis game.
Yeah.
Not twice. Not once was bad enough in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And one day I began earning my living by freelance writing and by guest lecturing, with many American guest lectures, which meant also being away a great deal. And my father was already ill, very ill. He suffered from Hodgkin's disease. And he asked me to his favorite dining table in New York at the hotel. For his genius and for his belief that to be lecturing at Downing was more necessary and eminent, rightly, than any faculty post. And then he went to York, as you know. And there followed some very, very hard years. 2 children, 2 young children, no Cambridge job, a tiny college stipend, you know, tiny when you're a fellow, just a fellow stipend, but no.
But you were professorial.
No, I turned that down.
Oh, I see.
I turned all that down because I knew it would...
Oh, I see.
I wasn't going to play the Leavis game.
Yeah.
not twice. Not once was bad enough in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And one day I began earning my living by freelance writing and by guest lecturing, with many American guest lectures, which meant also being away a great deal. And my father was already ill, very ill. He suffered from Hodgkin's disease. And he asked me to his favorite dining table in New York at the hotel.
CIO rally in Pittsburgh, and Republican. This week on Book Notes, our guest is Harold Bloom, Professor of Humanities at Yale University and Professor of English at New York University. He joins us to discuss his recent book, How to Read and Why.
Professor Harold Bloom, can you remember the first time you ever read?
Oh, yes. I was born 70 years ago in an all Yiddish-speaking household in the old East Bronx. And I taught myself to read Yiddish when I was about 3, Hebrew when I was about 4, and English when I was about 5. And I read incessantly from the time I was 3 years old. In fact, I am a lifelong addict.
Do you have any sense of why you started reading so young?
I've spent years thinking about it on and off. I was the 5th child, much the youngest, the last, in a rather poor family. My father was a garment worker, my mother a housewife. He had been born in Odessa, she in a shtetl long since wiped out by the Nazis near Brest-Litovsk. Nobody else in the family read. And I don't know, I didn't think I was a changeling or anything. I loved and was loved by my siblings and my parents, but something in me was very lonely. Something in me felt what I think is the deep pleasure that solitary reading only could bring. And so I began to read incessantly. There must be some genetic factor in this. I mean, eventually I tried to trace back, you know, one could be of a proletarian family, ultimately of East European Jewish peasant stock, and still have Talmudists and Kabbalists in the family tree. And indeed, when I looked, they were there. So I'm probably a throwback.
If we saw you in your situation where you were the happiest reading, where would that be?
At home in a huge old house in New Haven, where my wife and I have lived for more than 40 years, in a large Norse chair that I've worn out so many times, I don't know whether this is the 4th or the 5th. And I collapse my Falstaffian bulk into it, and usually with 6 or 7 books, and I read through them with great gusto.
What's the longest you've ever sat and read?
In that chair? When I was younger, I could sit there for some time until my wife would rouse me out and say, "This is bad for you. Go for at least a walk around the block or get on the exercise bike," which is what she says these days. Sometimes when I'm writing a book, except for obvious needs, or being summoned to dinner, I stay in that chair or I move to the dining room table because I can't bear to write when I'm by myself. There's a huge study on the 3rd floor, and indeed the house has some 50,000 books in it. And there are 2 large offices at Yale, which between them must have 30,000 more, and an apartment in New York with another 15,000. But I don't like to be where the books are. I like to be where my wife is or somebody else is. Perhaps one of my sons, and I like to just know that somebody is else there while I read and write. I mean, the activity is solitary reading and writing, but one doesn't want to be completely lonely.
Do you ever read nonfiction?
Oh, I read everything and anything. I'm a desperate reader. If I can't find anything else, my wife is likely to find me obsessively rereading cereal box tops in the morning. And books flow in all the time, solicited and unsolicited, and manuscripts and proof copies and everything under the sun. Indeed, one of my jokes is that if some of my old friends with whom I attended the Bronx High School of Science and who are fierce believers in the humanoid future of computers, if indeed artificial intelligence so develops that the computers do develop personalities and creative abilities of their own, one of my favorite sad jokes is that I expect before I die to be bombarded by the epics and romances of artificial intelligence, though I don't expect them to be of very high quality.
How long have you been at Yale?
I got there as a graduate student in the autumn of 1950, so I've been there half a century. I've been full-time teaching on the faculty for 46 years now, and I have doubled as Berg Professor of English in the NYU Graduate School these last 13 years.
How can you do both?
I have a great deal of teaching energy, as I have a great deal of reading and writing energy. Otherwise, I'm a pretty tired old monster.
How often do you go to the classroom? How many times do you teach a semester?
I generally, 5 terms out of 6 at Yale, I give 2 seminars, usually 1 graduate and 1 undergraduate, though some terms both undergraduate. And I always teach Wednesday and Thursday from 1:30 to 3:30. But because I'm obsessive about getting to a classroom or anywhere else on time, I usually show up an hour and a half before the class and tell the students, since I hate to sit in an office by myself, I shun my offices, except when I have to find a book. I tell the students to bring their lunch and we'll hold office hours there.
What do you think this thing is about always wanting to be with other people?
Well, I was never alone when I was a child. We were a family of 7 crowded into 4 rooms, and they weren't large rooms. And certainly before I got married, I was very solitary. I don't know. I don't think it's the fear of mortality. I believe fiercely, as I say in the book you're holding, that one of the major reasons why we do read and should read is because we cannot possibly know enough people or know them closely enough. But I suppose, though I have been married for 42 years and have known the lady for 44 years, and she is the best company there is, I suppose something in me is unappeased and peregrine, as Mr. Eliot says in one of his poems. Strange person for me to quote, as he's not one of my favorite writers. I suppose my spirit is always somehow looking for something. But that's what being a reader is about, I would think. And that's what I am primarily. I mean, I'm a professional teacher. I'm a professional literary critic, a very old-fashioned one. I now call myself at times, partly in self-deprecation, but partly, I suppose, with a certain fury, Bloom Brontosaurus Bardolator, that is to say, not only a worshipper of Shakespeare, but a Brontosaurus, a dinosaur. I've never learned how to type. I still write everything all day long with a black Pentel rolling writer ballpoint pen on a clipboard that an engineering student gave me as a gift back at Cornell in 1946 when I was a freshman, and always on long yellow legal pads. So I am something of a dinosaur. I've stopped using the Yale Library. I send research assistants there. I cried when they switched from the card catalog so many years ago to a computer because I can't handle a computer. And something in me, though I'm not a Luddite, resists learning. I just don't want to do it.
What are your students telling you when they come to class? And what are you seeing in the students that might have changed because of cyberspace?
I think that the Yale students now, and I've known them for 46 years as students, I think they're intellectually at least as gifted as they ever were. But there is a difference. All but the very most intensely literary among them simply have read a lot less, both on their own and in school, before they come to Yale than, say, 20 years ago. And I think that has something to do with the screen. I mean, as I remark at the beginning of this book, and as though I try to avoid polemic in this book as much as possible, if only because I am weary of polemic, though my opponents don't seem to be, judging by the reviews of this book, which I haven't read, but I've been told about. I don't want to read them. There are 2 enemies of reading now in the world, not just in the English-speaking world. One, and I think it's relatively minor, even though it's very annoying, and that has been the destruction, the lunatic destruction of literary studies, at least from my perspective, and its replacement by what is called cultural studies in all of the universities and colleges of the English-speaking world. And everyone knows what that phenomenon is. I mean, the now weary phrase political correctness remains a perfectly good descriptive phrase for what has gone on and is, alas, still going on almost everywhere. and which dominates, I would say, rather more than 3/5 of the tenured faculties in the English-speaking world, who really do represent a treason of the intellectuals, I think, a betrayal of the clerks. But they will pass away. Their time was already going by. They are already, one reason why they are getting nastier than ever, particularly towards an old dinosaur like me, is simply because they've lost their clientele. The students, the undergraduate students, flee them on every side. And indeed, there is declining enrollment in what used to be the English departments of the Western world. And why shouldn't there be? Because I don't think at Yale American Studies, for instance, which is the one department at Yale where real adulteration has taken place. Otherwise, on the whole, Yale remains almost, not quite, a citadel in literary and humanistic studies, certainly compared to almost any place else. And I know, because I've been around the other places too, certainly in American studies, they never read anymore. They never read American literature. They don't know who Walt Whitman or Emily Dickinson or Henry James are. They study Coney Island. They study Batman comics. They study the Peerless Madonna. They study Mormon theme parks. This is what people do in cultural studies. But this will pass. These people, alas, will be with us for a while, partly because of something that I seem to be a voice in the wilderness in speaking out against. And I don't think this is just sour grapes on my part as I approach my 70th birthday. I think that academic tenure is an archaic and malicious institution, and I think it should be abolished everywhere. It was meant to protect freedom of thought and expression from university administrations or outward public and societal or even congressional pressures, but that isn't the way it has worked. It has worked so as to impose a kind of massive conformity in American colleges and universities. And indeed by now in secondary schools as well. I would like to see it abolished, though I have very little hope that it will be in my lifetime, even though it should go. But this is minor. It will pass. I may pass with it, being old, but the more massive danger is obviously the screen, and not so much the e-book. I recently went through my one e-book experience, the New York Styles section sent me a Hewlett-Packard handheld computer on which Mr. Gates and company had downloaded, I would say, a 50th rate thriller by the overrated Mr. Michael Crichton called Timeline. And by pressing a button, I was able to read through this. I found it not a good experience, whether in terms of the quality of what I was reading or the ghastly procedure that I was following. I don't think that the e-book is going to destroy the printed book as soon. many fear. But the internet, which I acknowledge is an economic and commercial necessity, the internet, and many people disagree with me on this, I know, the internet, I think, is a terrible danger to the life of the mind. It's a terrible danger to real reading, because it's a kind of great gray ocean in which everything merges with everything else, and extremely difficult. It is extremely difficult for a young person to establish standards of reading, or to find again what could be called intellectual and aesthetic standards of judgment in relation to what is available on it. There is no guidance. There is, if I may use a word now so much despised, there is no intellectual authority involved in it. It doesn't seem to me a good mode of teaching, even as an instrument, even as a tool, because something about its very nature defeats, I think, what teaching ought to be.
How does a teacher at a place like Yale know what other teachers are teaching? How do you find out? I mean, you ever go to their classes?
No, unless I'm invited to. It would be an intrusion on their privacy, though they're perfectly free to come to mine. And people are always coming, though not necessarily people from Yale, people from abroad or from around the country. I don't care who comes. But I go around a great deal. I'm not sure. I mean, not only on book tours, but also lecturing or doing sometimes a week at a time at other universities, though I have had some recent bad experiences with that, and I've now determined to take myself off the road in terms of other universities.
What made it bad, by the way?
A couple of years ago, I can't remember whether this was 2 or 3 years ago, I did a week at Stanford University, a university which has gone through a good deal of political correctness. In the week I spent there, the only hour and a half that I enjoyed was when the then splendid provost there, Condoleezza Rice, phoned me and asked me to come see her. And we had a very illuminating mutual talk for an hour and a half. We are not in political agreement. You are looking at an old line, voted for Norman Thomas, and I will hold my nose and vote for Albert Gore as I did for Clinton, unlike Ms. Rice. I do not support the Bushes. But culturally, I found that Ms. Rice and I were in agreement. I found my time at Stanford extremely stormy and distressing. I gave a public lecture which in modified and mollified form is now the introduction, called The Way We Read Now, the prologue to this book. But I said things in it that aren't said here, which infuriated the audience, so that...
Like what?
Well, I said that, and you'll pardon my saying this, and your viewers will pardon my saying this, I said that if you were to purchase a desk or a table from a carpenter and the legs fell off, though you had paid for it, and it was not usable as a table or a desk, even if it had been created by a person of a particular multi-ethnic group or a particular sexual orientation or of a particular pigmentation or whatever you want to call these things. I still hold with E.M. Forster, who in a passage to India wisely said, well, what is this nonsense about being white? We should call ourselves pinko gray, because that's our actual complexion. I'm very weary of all this stuff. But I said to them, if the legs fell off, would you not demand a rebate? And it wouldn't do any good to be told that this was, I mean, I don't want to go into individual nationalities or ethnic groups or, you know, the whole range of it. It wouldn't do any, you know, you would still, no matter who you were, I said to the audience, you would demand your money back, in which they saw where I was heading and they started to boo me. I said, well, think about what I'm saying. You know, you insist that your table be well made. You insist that your desk function. If you were being wheeled in for a brain operation and you were told that the brain surgeon had been chosen on the basis of fairness, on the basis of universalism, on the basis of multiculturalism, you would jump right off the operating table. We do not enforce these things in the medical schools. We do not require these quotas in departments of mathematics or nuclear physics. And I said to the audience, it shows your profound contempt for humanistic study. It shows your profound contempt for literature and for canonical literature, that you think it does not matter. That you can have an absolutely mediocre piece of work, you know, where the legs fall off, in a poem or a play or a novel. It does not matter to you at all. You only care about the origin of it. This caused about half the audience to get very furious with me. Indeed, but it seems to me I'm only telling the truth. And then there was a symposium the next day in which the faculty members on it including one counterculturalist imported from Berkeley to rough me up. And I just sat there and listened to them abuse me and misrepresent me. And when it came my turn, I said, you know, I'm getting a little old. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and I invite the audience to stay behind, but everybody on this platform must go, because I've heard only ignorance and abusiveness. I will not talk to them. I will entertain questions from the group. But my entire visit at Stanford was like that, even at the president's dinner table. I found it an absolutely embattled time. And I suppose that is the phenomenon that I'm also encountering in the reviews of this book, including both reviews in that countercultural American newspaper, which is now, of course, and always has been our establishment newspaper, the New York Times. The New York Times has lost all of its standards, so far as I can see, both intellectual and aesthetic. If I make more enemies among them, that will delight me. They cannot be worse than they are already. There are a few people who can still read and think and write, who can be found in the Times. But the New York Times Magazine is now indistinguishable from the Soho News. It's preposterous. Indeed, it is edited by the former editor of the Soho News. And he's been very successful in getting lots of advertisements, so doubtless he will be there forever. But I cannot imagine that that a reader of any intellectual interest whatsoever, that an intelligent reader should want to read the New York Times Magazine, or should want to read what passes for the book reviews in that absurd New York Times Sunday book review, which I will certainly never write a review for again. I'll have nothing to do with them. They have become broadly countercultural. It was only 2 or 3 years ago that I read one of their rock critics, who's, I will not name him, making a very serious comparison. He was not being ironical, in which he compared the glyph formerly known as Prince to the young Mozart, saying that they were absolutely equivalent in genius, and that it was only our absurd reactionary cultural prejudices that kept us from seeing this. That is the New York Times. That is the way we live now. That is the way we read now. Of course, they also can't parse, they're ungrammatical, they misspell, they misuse words. They're a preposterous thing.
What caused this, in your opinion?
For 33 years now, and I don't wish to be confused with my late acquaintance Alan Bloom, and I am not a conservative, far from it, politically speaking, not even culturally. But from 1967 until the present, for 1/3 of a century, we have had the gradual triumph of the counterculture in the United States. And not just in the United States, in the entire English-speaking world, and to a somewhat lesser extent in the rest of both the Western and indeed by now the Eastern world. Questions of taste and judgment now seem to rely entirely upon information and not at all upon what I would call learning or wisdom. This can be deplored, but it is not going to change or pass. Indeed, where has this not seeped by now? About 2 years ago, the old British Museum reading room was transformed into what is now called the British Library. I received a phone call from the gentleman who was the incoming head of this institution, who told me over the long-distance phone that they were inaugurating their new existence with a week-long celebration called An Age of Information. I said, "Why are you calling me, sir?" He said, "Well, we only want you there for the last day, Friday after tea time, when you and 2 other gentlemen will have a panel discussion on what it means culturally to have entered the age of information." I said, "You don't want me?" He said, "Oh, yes, we do want you." He said, "There will be Sir So-and-so and Lord So-and-so." I said, "I don't know who they are." He got rather offended and explained to me in rather hurt tones that Sir So-and-so was the leading British authority on information retrieval. I told him honestly, and it's still true, I did not know what information retrieval was, and I did not wish to find out, and I still don't know what it is. I said, "Who is the other gentleman?" And then he said quite coldly, "He is our leading authority on software." I said, "I've never learned to type. I'm not at all sure what software is." He said, "It doesn't matter." He said, "In any case, Professor Bloom, you ought to come. You will represent the book." I said, "This is ridiculous." I said, "You're going to ask me to have a discussion with an authority on something called information retrieval and an authority on software, and I wretched creature, I'm supposed to represent the book? I am highly inadequate to represent the book. Anybody would be, and I will not come. Goodbye, sir." But that is the British Library. I think the Library of Congress, where I believe I speak today in the Mumford Room, has not gone quite that far. At least I hope not. I'm not that much in Washington these days. But these cracks and strains, which have deeply wounded our universities and colleges, and which have, I think, destroyed, for cultural purposes, a great institution like the New York Times. I think they operate now in the great public libraries also. I've been speaking at a great many public libraries across the country, and I asked them about their rare book collections. I asked them whether they are maintaining themselves as circulation librarians. And they disheartened me by telling me all too often that they're only open 3 days a week. And all too often they tell me that they now concentrate entirely upon providing computer services. And it breaks what is left of my heart, because I would have been nowhere in this life without the various branches of the New York Public Library when I was growing up. I started reading at the Melrose branch of the Bronx Public Library when I was still so small. I couldn't carry the books home. My three sisters, much older, kindly carried them for me, and I went from the Melrose branch of the Bronx Public Library, after I'd read through it, to the Fordham branch of the Bronx Library, which is its research branch, and I used that up. And I descended at 15, clutching my nickels in my hand for the subway, to the 42nd Street Library, determined to read through that in the main reading room, and of course I would never have succeeded. But soon enough, I was a Cornell undergraduate, having won a fellowship, and spent 4 years trying to read out that library, and for the last 46 years have been trying to read out the Yale Library, which no human being can read through, though I've done what I could. But it worries me deeply what is happening to our public libraries, to our library systems in general. They used to receive much more government funding than they receive now, and I do not hear anyone in either party running for office this time talking about public libraries, except to, out of the shibboleth, more and better computers. You know, one computer per child.
You go back to what you said, if you don't mind, at Yale, and your politics versus the other professors. What would you say that, you know, the political, what's the...
I don't think it is a, forgive me for interrupting you, Brian, I don't think it's a political question. You know, I'm tired of being tarred. I've been voting for Democrats for president or for socialists when I could find them for, let's see, I started when I was 18. I mean, here I've been voting for 52 years, and I've never voted for a Republican for door catcher, and I wouldn't start now. I forgive all the Republicans out there, or let them forgive me. I'm not a conservative. I'm anything but a conservative. I think that the United States has been almost destroyed by Ronald Reagan and his legacy. He came into office, that charming, smiling fellow, and he assured us we could all emancipate our selfishness, and that is what we have proceeded to do on a national level. And I think we have done terrible things to the poorer people in this country. And Mr. Clinton, whom I voted for twice, nevertheless signed the welfare bill and put 5 million more children under the poverty line. Let it be said in his defense that I gather he has done everything he could to partly make up for this, you know, as best he could, but still. I am not happy with him. No, I don't think this is a political difference. I don't even think this is a cultural difference, because I don't think there can be cultural differences in that sense. It's an intellectual difference and an aesthetic difference. And though I hate to use the term because it can so easily be misconstrued in a religion-mad country like the United States, it ultimately has to be a spiritual difference. Either you believe that reading and teaching and thinking about the best that has been thought and written and said matters and does everyone a great deal of good, or you do not. And most of these people now in the universities, and certainly these people in the media and the New York Times, don't believe that at all. Either you believe that, you know, what has it got to do with politics? Leon Trotsky, who was a great, though murderous human being, but a remarkable writer, and in his own way a remarkable literary critic. He wrote quite a book called Literature and Revolution, which I frequently cite against the politically correct and the School of Resentment, because in it he addresses himself to the revolutionary or Marxist writer, and he says, take Dante for your textbook. And he is quite right. Indeed, whatever your politics are, whatever your aspirations are, take Dante for your textbook, take Shakespeare for your textbook, take Cervantes or Chaucer or Homer, or indeed the Bible, not as fundamentalists read it, but as we ought to read it. Take indeed the best that has been written for your textbook and educate yourself from it. I begin this book by saying, information is readily available to us. Where shall wisdom be found? And the answer, it is to be found where it was always to be found, in the greatest minds and the greatest writers, and they are usually the same. You know, it is to be found in Shakespeare and Milton, It is to be found in William Blake. It is to be found in Dante. It is to be found in Cervantes. I wouldn't mind so-called multiculturalism at all if, say, for Hispanic purposes, they were to replace Shakespeare even by Cervantes. I would say fine. I have no quarrel with this. Cervantes is of almost equal eminence. The Cojude and the other writings of Cervantes also touch the limits of human art and of human thought. If you wish Hispanic multiculturalism, let them read Cervantes. But let them not read mediocrity. Let them not read bad writing. Let them not read ill-thought matters simply because they are written by contemporary members of a particular, as we call it, ethnic group. To balkanize the study of literature, indeed the study of all the arts, as we have now done in the universities and the colleges, is fatal. It will not make us a better country. It will make us a worse country. It will finally balkanize us as a nation. And we have enough troubles without that.
You write a lot about Cormac McCarthy.
Ah, yes.
Contemporary.
One book in particular, a very great book, and I'm very glad you bring it up, Brian, a book called Blood Meridian, which I write about at some length at one point in this book. Many of McCarthy's novels are remarkable, including All the Pretty Horses, the first volume of the Border trilogy. I don't think the second and third volumes are quite as fine. And some of his earlier novels, like Satri, though very Faulknerian, somewhat derivative, are still remarkable books. But he has written one masterpiece, which I would say is, of contemporary American fiction, of fiction written by human beings still alive and among us. I would list Philip Roth's Sabbath Theater and American Pastoral. I would list Don DeLillo's Underworld. I would certainly list Thomas Pynchon's The Crying of Lot 49 and Gravity's Rainbow and his recent and magnificent Mason and Dixon. But if I had to vote for one novel by a living American, it would be Blood Meridian, which is a fearsome story and a terrible parable, and which I think has a deep implicit warning for current American society. Our gun-crazy country, where Charlton Heston appears endlessly on television and amazes me. He angrily says, President Clinton, why do you talk of 22 children shot here or there, and you don't talk about the tens, perhaps hundreds of millions of dollars that the NRA is spending to educate young people how to properly handle guns? I cannot believe the madness of what I am hearing. But it is all straight out of Blood Meridian, because Blood Meridian is the ultimate Western. It is a historically close-based account of a terrifying scalping expedition organized by Mexican and Texan authorities in 1849-50 to simply wipe out all of the southwestern Native Americans in order to clear the way to the goldfields. And the Glanton Gang, an extraordinary group of freebooters or filibusters, have with them as their spiritual leader a frightening manifestation, a Melvillian, a kind of human Moby Dick, Judge Holden, who is a vast albino fellow as round as I am, but 7 foot tall, and who has all languages, all knowledges, and who preaches endlessly the theology of violence and war, and who is still alive and dancing and fiddling and proclaiming that he will never die at the end of the book. And indeed, he has never died. He is responsible for those horrible
One, two, three. Nice. I'm ready to go. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Check 1, 2, 2, 2. Good. I'm ready.
Santiago's laptop might be better.
Hey, just for him. Yeah. Hello. So hey everybody.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Okay. If that's what you say. Okay.
You're that one.
Yeah.
So you ran in at 10:59. I had the show all slide it down,
And I'm grabbing the mic.
slide it up.
Yes, sir.
My friend Kelly's gonna call in. Kelly out there. So we gotta get the phone rolling. Is this the phone?
Number is 414-935-2951.
Is the phone ready?
414-2951.
Is the phone?
So yeah, how are you doing this week, Chuck?
My friend Kelly's gonna call in. I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you? Got anything planned? Kelly.
Just terrible friends.
Who's that? Kelly?
Yeah, not my friend Kelly, my friend Kelly.
Yeah.
Some other Kelly.
Here. Do it again. Okay, I got it. Tuck it up.
It's too much talking. Also, I want
been
to
up to,
bar.
We haven't really talked or seen each other for a while, so it's what's going on.
No.
It's pretty quiet.
It's good that you're at the controls today. So your levels are goofy when you hit that. So
Oh man, you want to switch seats?
No. Just you want to turn that Jean down a bit, maybe. Who
Yeah,
knows?
but I
Whatever,
think it's
good,
barely
that's fine.
noticeable in the broadcast. Actually. The levels flash. Let's see, maximum output. How's it been going, man?
It's going well. I'm trying to stop saying like.
You are? I'm trying to say it a little more, right?
Oh yeah, you should try to do that.
And I got the whole. I had the Beatles. They kept talking to me this week too.
Really? From the grave?
No, through the White Album, specifically the song Helter Skelter.
Yeah. You went up to the middle. What is it? You go up to the middle and then go down to the top, and then the bottom of it again, to the top and the bottom.
On Helter Skelter?
Up the bottom and
I
up
just
to the
listened
top.
to it just normally.
Just Just straight.
Yeah. And
then what?
Get you know,
I'm gonna next week this time I'm on an airplane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Pretty much they've been talking to me about, and through the song Helter Skelter, through the song Helter Song, through the song Helter Song, through the song Helter Song, through the Helter Song, through the song Helter Song, through the song Helter Song, through the song. So pretty much the Beatles have been talking to me. And they've been talking to me through the song. They've been talking to me through the song. They're 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 talking to me through the song. Having fun, you want to switch seats. But, so, as you know, last week, the song they're talking to me through the song. 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 I thought the Beatles were starting a big food fight. They're talking to me through the song. But then I realized they're talking to me through the song. They're talking to me through the song. The Beatles, of course, wouldn't want me to go. The Beatles, of course, wouldn't want me to go. The Beatles, of course, wouldn't want me to go. The Beatles, of course, wouldn't. But so this week I listened to the song over and over and over again because I just feel like they're trying to tell me something. And it was to listen to another song. It was to listen to the song by Quiet Riot, "Come On, Feel the Noise."
The Beatles. You understand the
Beatles
wanted you to hear "Come On, Feel the Noise"?
They want me to now, the Beatles want me to listen to the song "Come On, Feel the Noise" over and over again. Because there's a message in there.
Again and again and again?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do it because I can't stand that song. So I'm just blowing the Beatles off on that one. You know what I'm doing? I'm blowing the Beatles off. I'm listening to "Come On, Feel the Noise." I'm not going to do it. I'm not listening to Quiet Riot, "Come On, Feel the Noise." Yep. What? See? There's a message in there. From the Beatles. Via... Oh no, it's not quite right. It starts with an S. Twisted Sister. Come on,
that starts with a T.
feel the noise.
No, that's Quiet
Sister,
Riot.
I was talking about.
Twisted Sister's Twisted Sister.
What? No, Twisted Sister made "Come On, Feel the Noise," right? What did Twisted Sister make?
Hi, it's Kelly.
Kelly, what's up? This is Kelly.
Yep.
How's it going? Hey, Kelly. Kelly's a tennis friend of mine. Kelly, we're tennis friends, right?
What?
We're friends from playing tennis.
Correct.
Why don't you tell everyone about how I play tennis?
Chuck is the coolest tennis player in the world.
That's not the right information. No, come on, really.
How's this serve?
Really?
How's this serve?
I'm not the coolest in the world.
Chuck is like the coolest tennis player in the whole world.
I'm not the coolest in the whole world.
I'm gonna say it again.
No.
Chuck has
No, but really.
forehand.
What do I have?
It's killer forehand.
I have a killer forehand.
Yeah.
What else?
How's this serve?
Chuck
Kelly.
Has a great serve.
Have a great serve.
Can you turn that?
So you saying my backhand's not that good?
Turning that serve.
Kelly, are you saying my backhand's not that good?
Chuck has a pretty good back.
My backhand's my weakest shot, yeah, and at the net, right? Kelly's really good. She can play pretty high level with the ladies, right?
I can smash the ball.
Kelly. How's your tennis? Kelly. Thanks for calling in, Kelly. We needed somebody to call.
Yeah. It's been a long time since we had a caller. What do you do, Kelly?
Oh, me?
Yes.
I hang out.
Nice.
Kelly's house is filled with art.
What kind of art do you like?
Me? I'm sorry, but I've just been reading. I never heard it. I had never had heard of the what's it called? And I'm looking it up. Have you ever heard of wait, where is it? Okay, have you ever heard of the rules of the internet?
The what?
The rules of the internet?
No.
Yeah, well, I just found them this week. Rule number 33, lurk more, it's never enough.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And then have you ever heard of rule number 34? Rule number 34. I guess everybody knows this. If there's porn on it, there's no exceptions.
What does that mean?
So,
What does that mean?
anything on the internet, you can find porn of it. And
What?
rule number 35, if no porn is found at the moment, it will be made.
It's funny.
Okay.
I do whatever I want.
Chuck's being really assertive tonight.
Rule number 36. There will always be even more fucked up shit than what you just saw.
Can't say that.
Oh, yeah. Can you take that back, please?
We're gonna take that back.
Kelly. Don't swear.
What else is funny? Let's see. Okay. Those I think are the best ones.
Tell about my tennis game. Out there. But
Hey, here they mentioned Chuck's name. Rule number 41. That too isn't funny. Seriously, guys, it's worse than Chuck Norris jokes.
what? Isn't funny?
It's sad.
What's not
Okay, rule number 41. That too isn't funny. Seriously, guys, it's worse than Chuck Norris jokes.
I missed that.
Yeah, I missed it.
Something as funny as Chuck Norris jokes. Kelly.
Yeah. I'm listening to this weird music, if you want to call it that.
What else is on the rules on the internet?
Kelly, what else is on the rules of the internet?
Okay. Let's see. Number 4, Anonymous is Legion. Have you ever heard of Anonymous?
Yeah, but nobody knows who they are.
Number 5, Anonymous never forgives. Number 6, Anonymous can be a horrible, senseless, uncaring monster. Number 7, Anonymous is still able to deliver.
Smooth back slacks. You can hear me that one? Actually, you don't have to. Hey, Kelly, you want to read a poem? Kelly's a poet.
Kelly, do you want to read a poem?
It's poetry. You like poetry on this show? You there?
I'm lost, Kelly. Sorry. Beyond.
Kelly.
Kelly, I think we lost you.
So sad.
Kelly, I think you are. I think you.
Call back, Kelly. Hey, you know, so I,
Do you remember the lyrics for Eric B. and Rakim? You know Eric B. and Rakim? Rakim. Do you know Eric B. and Rakim? Paid in full?
no.
I used to roll up. This is a whole lot. Ain't nothing funny. Don't know nothing new but the money. I'm now around cause I'm righteous. Suddenly I'm righteous. Pick up 9 to 5. Maybe I'll die. Then I'll stay alive. So I'm going down the street, whistling this. Thinking I'm a man who I wish. A pen and a paper, microphone and tape. Me and Eric B. and a big plate of fish. Cause it's my favorite wish. Dig into a hard coming up rhythm.
Hey, Vivian. What's up? How's it going? Hey, Kelly.
So this is
Did you hang up? Did you hang up? Call back, Kelly. We disconnected, Kelly. Hey, you know, I contextualized my life again. It's my sleepy, dreamy state. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
It goes something like this.
What's it sound like?
Chuck Carino's synergistic incubation. By definition, outdated and explicitly fertile plane of interest in the macro-microcosm.
hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
That's so funny, I got disconnected.
Wait. Cosm, and love, non-sexual,
That's reading his statement on IDB.
balance, and occurs into eternity.
Oh.
It's really
Can you read
good.
that again,
Yes, sir. Really? So that's Chuck Carino's synergistic incubation, by definition outdated in an explicit fertile plane of interest in the micro-macrocosm and displacement with love, mostly non-sexual, occurs on balance and into eternity. It's totally self-explanatory.
Totally?
Yeah.
This is my Christmas song.
That was about my
That was about the Beelzebub.
Kelly, are you there?
Yeah, I can't hear a word.
You don't have to yell. We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's okay.
We can hear you. So if you talk, you'll be on.
You can talk. 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 You can.
What if I took that machine
You can talk.
away?
But what if I took that machine away from you that I gave you?
Then I'd be paused.
You would. What kind of shirt is that? Jean-Paul, is that like a Gaultier? That looks like a Gaultier style shirt. All puffy in strange places.
Pirate shirt. Flaring. Makes up for lack of other things. Do you have your Christmas tree up, Kelly?
Is your Christmas tree up? Is your Christmas tree up, Chuck?
Not yet.
You're not going to go get a Christmas tree?
We always get a branch, don't we?
You get a branch.
I forgot about that. You got a branch.
You're the branch manager.
Yeah. It's good. We just go grab some branches and decorate them.
Can we decorate the branch?
Yeah. I think
I think you should get a tree.
Sarah might be coming home soon.
This is good news.
Here you go. I was talking so much last week because I was just coming out so adrenaline running and joking. We're gonna take some weeks off, man. I'd like to Zav.
What was that?
You're going.
I got 8 minutes left of the show.
I'm gonna take. You got
So I'm
anything
gonna go. I'm sorry, you guys. I gotta go.
Oh, yeah. She's watching TV.
Oh, enjoy your TV show. Just hang on.
All right, Kelly.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Come up. We got a Christmas tree.
Careful. That's strange. That was the phone.
Yeah, the phone makes it so much louder. I wonder. Yeah, you can't hear me at all. Yeah. This is how I watch. Maybe not next week.
Not next week.
I don't know when exactly. Well, if you try, that's like I notice a lot of shows they take weeks off. Right? No, it's not what it is. Because Dave's not going to do the show. I was counting on Dave, but Dave's going to San Francisco.
You know what I learned this week? I learned that it's important to not count on anybody but yourself. You know?
I mean, you should always do it that way. Always. Yeah, we can wait turn.
thing even work? I don't think this. Oh, there you go. Here. So I want to tell you that the levels from before.
You know, you could do. Okay. Ahora sí, tú. All right. Thanks.
That was like a key point on
Something like that, but I'm not sure that I don't mind. I think it's strange thing about it, people's voice when they read it. Everything sounds in a strange voice. It's really odd voice. That's why I'm not so crazy about it. Chuck, watch the libraries. I'm not excited. All I'm saying is, you don't care. I think this rhythm is terrible. You like this song? You don't care? I'm gonna turn it off. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it off. I don't want to hear it any longer. But I have another one. I have a really long one.
Good, please.
This is this track.
So this is our last show for a while, maybe. Yeah, like 2 out of the next 4 weeks. But I want to see if I can get people talk. Yeah. So if there isn't a show, an occasional week or two, don't miss it. Is what I'm saying. Come back next week or the week after or the week after that.
It's really pathetic.
That's pathetic.
Yeah, it's totally pathetic.
It's totally pathetic.
It's lame.
It's lame.
Yeah, totally lame.
It's pretty lame. I think it's a lame attitude. I'm thinking about was that like a victory dance? A lot of times after, like, when Sammy Sosa would hit a home run, he would do the same thing you just did. He would touch his fingers to his lips and like purse his lips, pucker them, and touch his fingers, and then go like that on his chest. Just so you know, Sammy Sosa, that's pretty much what you just did. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. I think that could work for me. That's good.
Everything is.
I mean, maybe I'll work really hard on the show. You know, I had 3 underpaintings. I had these 3 halfway done paintings, and the last 3 nights I painted 3. I finished them. 3
That's
paintings.
excellent.
Kind of did the same, similar things to each one of them. Really happy just because it's different than what I was just doing. I worked a bunch.
Do you know what were you watching the game?
Yeah, I was tired when I left. I'm pretty sure I heard people screaming for joy when I walked in the store. So
There was an interception right
By
at
the
10
Packers?
o'clock. Yeah, just a couple of minutes before 10.
okay. Pretty sure the Packers are gonna win. They have some major weaknesses. I don't know if you can diagnose that, but their offensive line is pretty bad right now.
Yeah, well, it's the last couple seconds of the game, and then it's 27-17.
Packers? Oh yeah,
Packers.
the Packers.
still going to come down to like the Niners and the Giants and the Packers.
Could be. Yeah, it's anyone's guess.
I mean,
yeah, it's anybody's guess.
Why don't you like RG3?
Why don't I
You're from
like
DC,
RG3?
right?
Yeah, I am DC. Just not.
The most exciting player now is plays for the Redskins.
Yeah, but
His name's RG3.
I just became a
A Packers
Packers fan.
fan.
You're gonna make fun of me because of the way I talk. That's my list. You make fun of people because of how they
I know,
talk.
I never do.
I mean,
That,
you. That's like. Oh shit.
What?
You just did it.
You did it again.
You did it again.
Yeah. What's that? Hey, there's a character from Ryan Trey Carton video just walked in the store and left. So,
You look great.
yeah.
You had a good look. I would like to have that. I would like to have that look.
Yeah, you know, I can't find any clear loops, so I can't start from scratch on any loops, and it's really frustrating. So forget about that thing, anyways. Yeah.
Hilarious.
I always try and get you to talk when I'm doing a loop.
I can do is point your finger at me and then I'll go. All you gotta do is point your finger at me and then I'll go.
Sometimes.
My friend's dog is called Little Bit. It's not a good name for a dog.
Little Bit?
Yeah, he's very small.
Guess.
Just a little bit of dog.
I guess. Oh no. But, so this show's.
So I had a lot to say for this show.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, it was a really horrible week, but I decided a couple things. I've just been in such a rough mood. But one thing is that, yeah, I don't know. I was going around feeling a little bit as if I had no friends or something. But, and then the other night I was proved completely wrong, and that was really wonderful. So I want to thank everybody at Impala, because you guys made my week. And then also I want to thank you, Chuck, for, yeah, it's good. I think our show is all right. It's been keeping me motivated. I think it's, yeah, I'm kind of happy about the work we do. And then also, yeah, a couple things like that. I felt a lot more eloquent earlier in the week, but not so much now.
What'd you do at Impala?
It's a long story. I'm not going to go into it, but I was DJing the other night.
Friday?
Yeah, and then I forgot about it. The space thing was really responsible. I mean, I spaced a lot.
But you had a rough week?
It was really rough, yeah. Yeah, it was kind of rough.
Not good.
And I had a really, I think the last 4 months, oof.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You can always sing "The Sun Will Come Out" by by Little Annie. That always works for me. Seriously. Just do it when you're alone.
On the radio?
No, you can do it now, but you know, when you need to, like, a pick me up. Just we're still reading The Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm just so enamored. I want to be. There's the main character is Dante's, and he inspires me just to live. I didn't know that book was so great. I didn't know how great that book was. I'm so happy to have encountered it. Yeah, well, no, I got it from the library, so.
Maybe I'm gonna go buy a copy.
The Count of Monte Cristo. It's just been so. I'm so happy that me and I were reading it. The Friar just, the Friar inspires me so much too. Must be way different than, I'm sure the movie can't even approach how good the book is. Really? I think that's The Man with the Iron Mask. Yeah. Did Alexander Dumas?
It's not a dumbass book.
It is. But, yeah, I just want to be like Dante's. He had the worst run of luck imaginable. I mean, it's incredibly profound how bad his luck was, how his fortunes changed so dramatically, and yeah, it's like the real reason to live is contained in that book. You know, he found a reason to live even if he thought he never was going to get out of prison. You know, which is those are the stories that I want to emulate or something. So, but yeah. So he wrote The Three Musketeers too, Dumas? Really? I think I'm going to read as much, even though I read as much as I can of his writings, just because I love the way he writes, even translated. It's so complicated on the one hand too. You know, it's like so dense. The narrative is incredibly dense, and then everyone's having these intense emotions, and he's describing them all. This super dense narrative, and yeah, it's just really great.
similar to that when I was reading Crime and Punishment. I imagined that I was in a world where I wasn't aware of the things that I did, and I was awake when I was asleep, and asleep when I was awake. I imagined doing things that I hadn't done, and I imagined what if I was doing things and I didn't remember them. And yeah, that was something else. Crime and Punishment. That's an insane book. Have you read it?
No, I want to read that now too.
Oh,
Or I've wanted to read it. Dostoevsky wrote it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a serial book. So it was published in chapters, segments. So you have to wait week by week to see what happened.
Yes, and maybe that'll come soon. I think from now on I'm gonna keep reading with Andre, and then start with Gio really soon. So Sarah and Andre always read together, but now I wanna kinda, after this experience, I feel really excited to start again. Other than that, I kind of want to. I only got one shift till New Year. On vacation. I'm gonna do all these paintings because now I changed my style a little bit. I'm all excited to paint a bunch. Changes in that. What else? I saw your picture was in the paper this week. You didn't know that? In the art blog.
Your picture?
Yeah.
Where were you?
It was you and Peter. I wasn't there.
My picture.
You were at Peter's show, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You and Peter.
And then also, something I wrote was in there.
Yeah, an email.
Yeah. I'm writing it. I wish I could talk like this all the time. I'm enjoying it very much. I'm sorry if it is annoying.
We should go play poker one day this week. It'd just be a waste of money for you. I'll take it back. It's probably a waste of money for me, but I think it probably will really be a waste of money for you. So. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe we should go on winter break.
So lame.
Schlame.
Yeah, don't do it.
Alright, I guess I gotta try and find a guest.
I'm gonna send you tracks.
Alright.
Send me your tracks.
Alright.
Send me the material so you can just
I
do
thought
it.
Dave was gonna fill in, and he's not.
Bring the looper. It'll be outstanding.
I got a couple people say they'll do it. We're definitely not bringing Kelly back.
Yeah, she's watching TV. We're calling in. I'm gonna watch some TV.
Kelly.
I want you to bring Erica. I keep asking you, why don't you invite Erica? We need a proper answer.
I don't think she wants to do the
Well,
show.
why don't you ask her? If you ask her,
I think I have.
you think you have?
I kind of put a.
Kind of?
I think, yeah. Maybe it sounded. Maybe it wasn't. I wasn't being real definite. Maybe Mr. Coop. Mr. Coop plays. He has his funk band. It's these guys that I work with. There's like guys that are all around 60, and they have this funk band. Mr. Coop and.
The dealer was at one of our terrible ones recently.
He plays guitar. They got a band, but I don't think we can get a whole band on our show. But maybe have Mr. Coupon. Come in. I was thinking about BJ Smooth.
Definitely invite BJ to be on the show. It would be wonderful. We'll make a special track for BJ. You know?
How would it go?
It's wonderful. Be about trials and tribulations. Being high up, top of the world, and then somehow stumbling, falling, not knowing why.
He's back.
Kind of like the kind of Monte Cristo. He's that kind of song. Yeah.
You know, the one thing about kind of Monte Cristo, or even I was watching, you know, Tupac Resurrection, and in the movie, it's called the movie Tupac Resurrection, and that's the title of the movie. But at this point, like Tupac says, in an evil world, you can't be an angel. Or in a world full of devils, you can't be an angel. And really, the point of the Count of Monte Cristo is in an evil world, you can be an angel. Or that's the time to be an angel. And that was, you know, the thing was Dante's was kind of faced with that, you know, deciding about his own character, you know, like, was he going to be lofty, or was he gonna, you know, so, like, I love Tupac, and I think Tupac would have, I don't even think Tupac meant that, hopefully, but maybe, you know, he did, but, you know, I think maybe if you had a chance to talk to Tupac, maybe it could convince him otherwise, because he lived so vibrantly. He was so, you know, he lived 100%. Seems like so often, you know. It's fallen time versus existential time. Like, you know, he's living like in that artistic exuberance 24 hours a day, it seemed like, right? At least when the camera was on him, huh?
Yeah.
And people say that he was that way, you know. That's that it's called that there's a philosopher Baradev, he talks about existential time and fallen time. So fallen time is the kind of time that we assign as wasted. Like a lot of times I would think maybe when I go to my so-called crappy job or whatever, my job where I'm just working for somebody else and fulfilling their tasks, it's easy to turn that into fallen time. So kind of, you know, time that you know, you don't want it to matter. You want it, you know, it's kind of like wasted time almost. And then there's, like, they use this, or the philosopher used artistic expression as a version of existential time. When you're just living intensely and fully, that's existential time. But I think the trick is or one of the things is to try to make your fallen time turn that into existential time. You know what I'm saying? Deepak Chopra. I want to play some poker. Deepak Chopra. Don't yell.
I'm not yelling. It's just like, you gotta take a look at the lights.
Okay, the yellow lights. Everybody cover your ears.
Yeah, just you run.
Deepak Chopra.
All you gotta do is just, yeah, that's all you gotta do.
Chopra.
Yeah, every time you press
Next. That's my little voice changing thing. Give it back.
You want it?
I don't want it now. It's 7:55. I think this show is a bluster. Deepak Chopra, Deepak Chopra, Deepak Chopra, Chopra, Deepak Chopra, Deepak, Deepak, Deepak. Deepak, Deepak, Deepak.
If you look over the other way, then yeah, it's not so bad. But if you look at, 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 if you look at,